Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my channel. Today we got another awesome video for y'all. Today we're going to be talking about something amazing that happened to me recently, which was my first vacation. I'm basically going to break down my entire vacation for you guys and explain to you guys how it went, what it was, my experiences, my feelings and thoughts about actually going on vacation for the first time. Now let me explain, give a little bit of context about the vacation briefly, and then we'll jump right into what the trip was. I have never traveled before without filming it or documenting it for YouTube. To clarify even further, I have when I was younger, but from when I started my first travel, my first ever trip alone as a traveling clat per se, and when I really started traveling internationally abroad by myself, I've been filming it. Every single time I've been filming it either on a GoPro or I've been vlogging or talking or explaining something to the camera. I've never just taken a trip, explored somewhere new, either by myself or with people, without filming it with some sort of like purpose of showing someone else. And I did film this trip like I showed you guys, but that was more just because I wanted to take pictures and videos of cool stuff. And I love that Spivo stick that I have. Shout out to Spivo for being an awesome company who supports this channel a lot. They didn't pay me or anything to say this stuff. I just love that product. And so I just wanted to record stuff as if I was an actual tourist, and like what a tourist would do. I wanted to act like somebody who doesn't have a YouTube channel, was not trying to compile some sort of story. After busting my butt for the last 6 months in New York City, I literally tried to cover every notable neighborhood, every notable place in New York City, and I compiled all these guides. When I finished my last guide, the Staten Island guide, I said, you know what, Tal, you deserve a proper vacation. You've never ever explored the northeast of the United States. I had my car in New York. I was like, you know what, you're going to be leaving New York City somewhat soon. It's time to really see this place and explore it and take time for yourself. And as well, for those of you guys who have been subscribed to this channel for 4 years, 5 years now, you might know back in the day, long time ago, I made a video all about the moose. Like I've mentioned before on my channel, a lot of my travels are dictated and kind of revolve around wildlife. I love wildlife. It's a huge passion of mine. I love seeing animals in the wild. And so a moose is an animal that I've always wanted to see. I've never seen it at a zoo. I've never seen it on safari. I've never seen it anywhere in my life, only ever on like pictures or videos online. And I've always wanted to see one. I'm going to see a moose. That's the goal of the trip. I'm not coming back to New York City until I see a moose. So I head off. And that was the journey of the vacation that began. I decided to do this and really enjoyed it. And a big part of it as well, something that I wanted to do, especially that I've been doing in the last year, and I'm gonna make a whole video kind of talking about this in the future, but a big part of my goal this year was to explore a lot of the United States and talk to people and listen to different opinions from a diverse backgrounds of people from across the US. And a big part of that was using the couchsurfing app, where I just basically stay at people's houses for free using this app. You know, you literally couch surf at somebody's house and you get to hang out with them. And I also wanted to hear the diversity of opinions that people had on politics, on religion, on where they live, on finances, on energy, on whatever it is that from this region of the world, from this region of the country, I wanted to hear about them. And so I set course and I drove all the way from New York City through to Vermont. That was the goal for the day. I went to Montpelier, Vermont, the capital of Vermont. On the way, I stopped at this really cool place called Dinosaur State Park in Connecticut, where I got to get my dinosaur fill for the beginning of the trip. It was literally maybe an hour out of New York City, maybe 2 hours out of New York City. Such an awesome location. I made it up to Montpelier, Vermont, and I didn't do any research about the places I was going to. I kind of dotted out a map, but I didn't want to know much about the places I was going to, especially not what they looked like, and my mind was blown away by Vermont. It was so freaking beautiful. My search for moose began the second I crossed into Vermont. I started getting all these signs for moose, but basically spent 2 days in Vermont exploring all kinds of things. I snuck into this really cool place called the Rock of the Ages Quarry. It was actually closed down, and I managed to actually somehow accidentally get into it. Accidentally, I might have actually snuck into it, but I found this gorgeous quarry that I was looking for from a Google image thing that I found online. I found a bunch of different quarries, but I couldn't find the one that I wanted to, and then I eventually found it because I might have hopped some fences or something. I gunned it out to Mount Washington in New Hampshire. This was my first time in New Hampshire as well. A new state, just like Vermont. New state for me. I never explored this part of the world yet. I got to go to all kinds of cool sites. I did a little bit of hiking. I walked through a waterfall. It was really fun. I just got to kind of delve in the nature. That night was a little creepy because I stayed in a hostel for the first time in my life completely by myself without a single other soul. Not even the staff showed up for this hostel. It was a self-check-in, self-check-out, so there was literally nobody there. It was also kind of scary because it was in the middle of a forest with like no electricity really and no people, not a lot of service. Next day was Moose Day. I was now heading off from there to Moosehead in Maine. So I drove all the way out from New Hampshire to Maine to Moosehead Lake. I checked in with my Airbnb. We ended up becoming super awesome good friends, me and my Airbnb Airbnb host, and I basically began the journey of looking for a moose. Now, this was probably the least relaxing part of my vacation because I just spent maybe over 25 hours in my car driving between the areas of Guilford and Maine all the way to this part of Moosehead Lake region and Cakajo, which is like the top of Moosehead Lake region, really close to the border of Canada. Just driving back and forth, taking back roads. Something really special happened to me when I was in Maine. I got some tips from some locals telling me about the potential area with moose. And so I took this back road and I was driving on this dirt road and off-roading, really kind of for my first time in my life. I was actually driving while off-roading. But something that happens to me sometimes is this thing called heart palpitations, kind of heart flutters where my heart skips a beat. And it really panics me, it scares me. It's, from what I understood, 100% okay. It's just something that comes along with anxiety and panic attacks, which I used to suffer from, am starting to suffer from again, unfortunately. But while I was driving and off-roading in the middle of nowhere, I was probably 13 or 14 miles into the woods. My heart started racing for no reason really. I was just listening to a podcast and relaxing, and my heart fluttered and it freaked me out. And I got a full-blown panic attack and anxiety attack. Here's a little bit of footage of what my reaction looked like to that. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? I am vlogging right now. Right after an anxiety attack that I've had. And it's hard for me to admit it, but what happened was I was driving and I felt like my heartbeat started rising, and then I started worrying because I'm on some back road with no internet, and I'm just kind of following a map looking for moose while four-wheel driving through this area. And so, I don't know, something triggered a sort of anxiety attack, and I feel like it's happening again right now, but I'm gonna make it through and tell you guys. I decided to maybe try to calm myself down by recording or talking to the camera because it's something that I know, it's something consistent in my life, but that didn't help. What I had to do, stop the car in the middle of the woods, get out of the car, stand up and take a breather and relax. It was really, really scary in the moment because I was completely by myself. There was no internet, nobody to call, nobody to talk to. I just had to be me with myself and nature, and when I came out of it on the other side, I was so proud of myself for pushing through, not freaking out, not really breaking down in that moment, but putting my brain to what I needed to do, which was get myself out of that situation as fast as possible and as safe as possible. And I got out of it, and I feel so proud of myself. So forever, the rest of my life, I will remember that moment as a really, really scary, terrifying moment. As much as it seems kind of anticlimactic on camera right now, I was very, very scared. It just, a lot of built up pressure of finding this moose and things from YouTube. I think they all just kind of built up into one little panic attack that happened to me. Anyways, to move on to some more positive things, I spent the rest of the day driving around this Moosehead Lake region. I even took a moose safari and couldn't find anything. I paid money to go have somebody take me out to find a moose, couldn't find anything. I woke up the next day, I woke up at 4 in the morning, drove for an hour, and finally, as I was starting to give up, by the border of Canada, I found my first moose and my only moose that I've ever seen. And here's the deal about the season in May. After the winter season, the kind of spring season, moose look ugly. They shed their horns and they're starting to shed their fur and to come out into a summer coat. So they look all mangy. It is not the moose that I expected to see in pictures and videos I've seen before, but it was beautiful. Giant animal that I got to see from the side of the road, and it was just me and this moose because I was in the middle of freaking nowhere. It was just me looking at this moose from my car. And then eventually I stepped out of my car and started taking pictures and videos of it, and it was just incredible. It was so amazing. And it's one of those things I get to just keep for me. It's not something I get to make a real big YouTube video about. For once since I've started traveling, something that a moment that's super precious in my life that I get to keep for myself, and I'm really, really happy about that. All right, so I'm not even supposed to really be filming anything right now because I'm on vacation, but I guess I've been so used to filming everything in my life for the last however many years that I guess I have to. It's just human nature at this point. But I've just accomplished a huge goal of mine in life, which was to see a moose in the wild. I've come out here to an area that I've been visiting frequently for the last like 3 days that I've been here in northern Maine. It's just some back road that leads up into the wild. It's just a bunch of forest and nature around. I had to wake up at 4 a.m. today after 3 attempts of trying to find a moose in the wild without any success. So I woke up at 4 in the morning, drove to the border of Maine and Canada, to a place called Jackman, Maine, 15 miles from the border of Canada, and then just drove through the nature, and eventually I found one on the side of the road. This gorgeous moose. It was incredible. I got to spend maybe like 1.5 to 2 minutes before it kind of got scared and ran away, just looking at it and taking pictures, and it was just amazing. So I'm filming this. I don't know if I'm ever going to use this clip for anything, but Might as well have it. After that happened, I said goodbye to my Airbnb host. Shout out to you if you're watching, Nancy. And I drove all the way down to Portland, Maine. I met up with another awesome couch surfing host. I will tell you guys more about him and his project after. Next morning, I woke up, drove out to Boston, Massachusetts, couch surfed again. I got to explore the Museum of Natural History, and I didn't really want to explore Boston, really. I just wanted to see the Harvard Museum of Natural History because I wanted more dinosaurs. There were quite a few there. It was pretty cool. And the next morning, I got to head out to Providence, Rhode Island, another state that I've never ever been to. I head out to Rhode Island, I couch surfed with this awesome chick, Providence. We had such a blast. It was really cool. The next morning, she took me out to Newport, and we drove around just kind of exploring all kinds of really cool like cliff edges by the water. And I got to see a side of a state that I've never really thought about. It's the smallest state in our country, and I got to kind of explore with a local and see from the perspective of someone who was born and raised in that part of the country. Now, something that I didn't tell you guys, a few days prior, I was passing through in Massachusetts in a place called Plymouth, where Plymouth Rock exists. Now, Plymouth Rock is where people believe the first pilgrims to the United States landed. Now, right by Plymouth is supposed to be the ship that they came in, a reconstruction of it called the Mayflower. But it was actually under construction, and it was moved to this place in Connecticut called Mystic, Connecticut. Now, I was driving from Providence down to New York City. It was supposed to be about a 3-hour drive for that day, and I wanted to go see the Mayflower. And I called early in the morning. They told me they close at 5, and I took a bunch of stops on the way, which was stupid, but I wasn't gonna make it there on time. I missed out. And as I was driving, I was getting right to this town of Mystic at like 4:50, and I was super sad because I was like, oh my god, I want to see this Mayflower. It'll complete the experience. So I'm not super proud of this, and I don't condone it, but I saw a fence that was kind of open. Right as I made it, I parked in the gift shop, walked through this fence, walked through, kind of snuck in, and you can see by these clips I'm maybe a little bit nervous here. And I kind of snuck through the shipyard and eventually made it to the Mayflower, and I got to see it, the reconstruction of it, and it blew my mind. It was huge. It was way bigger than I expected it to be. And that was awesome. That was like the cherry on top for the rest of the day. I got to see the Mayflower. It just seemed like on this vacation, everything worked out for me as planned. Sometimes it was a little harder, sometimes it was a little crazy, sometimes there were scary moments, but the vacation really worked out. All the things that I wanted to see, I got to see. All the people I wanted to hang out with, I got to hang out with. It was really awesome. I decided from then on to drive straight down to New York City, and I eventually made it back to my pal Jacob Carlson's house in New York City, and that was super awesome. An awesome way to conclude an awesome 10-day vacation. I keep saying awesome because it was truly awesome. I enjoyed every moment of this vacation. It was my first ever vacation that I got to experience, and I wouldn't trade it in for the world. It wasn't Hawaii, it wasn't the Philippines, it wasn't this amazing island destination. It was cold and rainy and wet and weird, but fun as heck. So I want to tell you guys quickly about one of the amazing couch surfing hosts that I had with me. When I went to Portland, Maine, I met a guy named Jesse, slept at his place, and we hit it off really, really well. And he actually has a really cool project that he's working on. It's his project called This Is America Too. Basically, what he's doing is driving around the United States, visiting tiny little towns. He has a whole website literally detailing all the small little towns he's visited. I think that his requirements for a town need to be less than like 6,000 people. So his goal is to visit all 50 states and meet locals and visit these tiny little towns and learn about the people living in them. And I think that's so incredible. The United States has so much to offer, and I've been learning about that all this year. And Jesse has just enlightened me even more. He taught me all about these cool little towns that he's traveled to all across the United States. So please, 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 go check out Jesse down in the description below. I'm gonna link his Instagram, his website, connect with this guy. He's just awesome, and I love you, brother. It was honestly a pleasure to meet you. I know you're probably watching this, so it really was an honor to hang out with you and meet you, and I really appreciate it. And hopefully, we'll do some traveling together soon. I really hope so. Anyways, guys, that's my vacation. I know this is a weird, strange, different type of video, but I'm so proud to make it because this video is for me. It's not for you, it's for me. I wanted to tell you guys about it, but at the end of the day, I want to be able to look back at this and see what my first vacation was like in the future when I'm older. And hopefully, there will be more of these vacations in the future as well. I think I'm gonna try to make it a routine to disconnect from YouTube and stop filming things every once in a while and just kind of enjoy things for myself. So that's all I have to say. Love you guys a long time. Thanks for watching this video. We'll see you in the next one. Goodbye, Clats.